Today we got one sports analyst versus 25 NBA/NFL fans. Like, comment, subscribe, grab, educate.
Come on, buddy. I think we're going to go in the direction of Stephen Curry. And I'm going to point out one word.
Steph Curry?
He was throwing balls to his receivers, hitting them in the helmets and stuff like that, and they weren't catching the ball.
It was 31-9. I'm Skip Bayless.
Here we go.
I've been a sports commentator for many years on ESPN and on Fox. Now I host the Skip Bayless Show on YouTube. Right now, I am surrounded by 20 NBA and NFL super fans, and I wish each and every one of you the best of luck today because you're going to need it. My first claim is, Magic Johnson is the greatest Laker of all time.
No.
Good lucky, Skip.
I know you think
You're
Magic
lucky,
is
Spit.
the greatest Laker of all
Skip.
time.
I do.
Skip, I think it's Kobe. I think the game is about a bucket at the end of the day. I think the priority is scoring the basketball. Kobe did that better than Magic. I think both of them were very, very transformative in what they did for the Laker franchise and the NBA in general. And I would give it to Kobe, because of his scoring prowess and also, of course, how transformative he was and how many players he inspired.
Look, I take nothing away from Kobe's ability to score buckets, get buckets, because nobody was greater in the history of the game. Magic did transform the franchise because, remember, Kareem had been a Laker for 4 years doing next to nothing until Magic walks in the door in 1980 and turns them around and gets them all the way to a Game 6 at Philadelphia in the finals, in which Kareem could not go. And I believe Magic Johnson that day at Philadelphia that evening played the greatest NBA game of all time, greatest playoff game, because he goes as a rookie for 42, 15, and 7 with 3 steals. He makes 14 of 23 shots and all 14 of his free throws and lifts the Lakers over Dr. J's Sixers to a championship, and he's off to the races. Now let's look quickly at Kobe. Again, no disrespect, but I feel like Kobe was obviously Robin to Batman in the three-peat with Shaq, because Shaq dominated those 3 finals the way no players ever dominated an NBA finals to me, including Jordan.
Stop it.
That's why I think Shaq is the second greatest Laker of all time. And in those finals, Kobe was good, but he wasn't close to the production that Shaq was equaling. So then Shaq, they fall apart. They lose to the Pistons.
Kobe set a standard.
2004, and he's gone, traded
Kobe
away to Miami. And here we go. So Kobe, without Shaq, misses the playoffs the first year. Then they lose to the Suns in the first round, and he has the pout game in Game 7, and it was hard for me to forgive him for that. And then they lose to the Suns in the first round the next year, and then they lose to Boston in the finals. In the closeout Game 6, Kobe is horrible in that game, and they lose by 39 points at Boston. I can't defend that. They broke through and beat Dwight Howard's Magic. It was supposed to be LeBron's Cavs. So I thought that was a little overrated. And then even when they did beat Boston and get over the hump, in Game 7, Kobe was 6 of 24 in that game. So I don't know. I agree with your big picture, but when I go little picture of playoff
What is a red flag mean?
about Shaq, I'm sorry.
I totally understand what you're saying, and I think Magic was extraordinary. And to be a rookie and start at center in the finals as a point guard, I mean, we've never seen that before. I don't know if we ever will. And yeah, he was terrific. He was splendid.
We'll never see that.
His championships. Of course, Kobe got his. And I understand you picking out these individual games and years and teammates and everything. And I think, you can really do that with anyone. And I think it's important to look at the big picture.
Kobe's mystique was bigger than Magic's, but if you look at Magic's productivity, how he changed a culture that both Shaq and Kobe benefited from piggybacking that culture.
What does a red flag mean?
I'm going slightly Magic over Shaq, Shaq over Kobe. Good job, Jack.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Way to go.
Damn, that was quick.
So, Kobe Bryant, 20 years with the same team, 18 All-Stars, 15 All-NBA, 12 All-Defense, MVP, 2 Finals MVPs, 5 championships. And even though he's done all of that, I think what makes him the greatest Laker of all time, it's different than what makes a player the greatest player of all time. Because like LeBron's not the greatest Heat player of all time. That's Dwayne Wade. So it's not just are you better, like are you greater? It's what you've done for that city and that franchise. And I would argue it. I love Magic. I grew up on Magic. But when you watch,
It feels like you grew up more on Kobe, right?
I did. I'm older than I look, honestly.
True.
But
Brothers not look old.
when you saw him on the court, he was like the greatest showman, right? He's a performer,
was.
charisma, a smile, the flashiness, showtime, right? Kobe, when you saw him on the court, it was like watching your brother, your sibling, or your uncle, or something, your son, because he had this fully realized character arc. He was a rookie. He failed.
did.
Not drafted by the Lakers, but we got him, early. And the air balls, and then the rising to prominence. 2000.
True.
18 years old, but go ahead. Yep.
Yeah. But 2000, taking over in the finals after Shaq got hurt, after Jalen Rose shadily sprained his ankle, and then he came back, and then he got him back with the 81 later. And then the championships, and then there was another. He went through kind of a villain arc.
He did.
There was like Colorado.
There was Colorado.
All the down years.
Good.
And
Like it.
if you're a fan, Kobe's with you that whole time. And I actually didn't like Kobe early on. I was mad when they started playing him over Eddie Jones, like early days. And you went through all of that, and Kobe just won you over. That's why there are more than 350 murals of Kobe in LA.
Okay, so you're making the case that Kobe is dearer to your heart than Magic was. He has a bigger place
No, that Kobe's the greatest Laker of all time.
in your heart. And I'm making the case that Magic had greater impact consistently than Kobe had, because Magic was the driving force of the Showtime Lakers, and Kobe was not the driving force of the three-peat, right?
Sure. Well, let me address that real quick. Because you're going to the finals and you're talking about Shaq, but that's always with the team from the East, and the East had notorious.
And let's be honest, basketball was way less competition back in the day.
Bad big men. Everyone knows in those years the finals was the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
And in those series, Kobe was instrumental. In 2002, Kobe and Shaq basically throughout the whole playoffs had equivalent points. Yeah, the same amount of points. And Shaq himself has admitted on various podcasts and different things, he was never the guy to take the last shot. I know you value that, right? Jordan's your guy. Kobe is the closest thing that we've ever seen to Jordan. And he was a guy who never shied away from the moment. He was a guy who always made the most of his opportunity when it was there.
I give you that.
And I don't think he gets enough credit for the second run that he made with Pau. That team wasn't. That's not an all-time team.
No.
His all-time.
But his breakthrough was not against an all-time team, because remember, the Magic upset LeBron's Cavaliers to get to the finals, right?
I give you that, but you can only play the team that, I think LeBron, maybe he's the one who did. They had the Nike commercials,
That is
but
true.
LeBron didn't hold up his end.
He didn't hold up his end in the bargain. Okay, so you're okay with Kobe pouting in a Game 7 at Phoenix against Raja Bell?
I'm not okay with it, but are you okay with 84, Tragic Johnson, where, runs out the clock, throws the turnover?
Okay, he
everyone's
did, but he
got
bounced
failures.
right back the next year in 85, and he shoots a baby hook shot.
And Kobe bounced back the next year by going to the finals.
Okay, he did. After the pout.
After the pout, yeah.
Yeah,
Listen,
okay.
That's what, to me,
I like it,
those
though.
failures you're pointing at, every player has failures, except for maybe who's your GOAT. But every player has that. Magic has that. Kobe has that. I think in terms of LA and LA.
Okay, but if you look at Shaq's numbers in those three finals, and I give you that the big men, the Tim Duncans, were over on the other side of the bracket, right? But he goes 38, 17, and 2 in their first finals, 33, 16, and 5, and 36, 12, and 4. Look at the assists. He's averaging 5 assists a game in the NBA Finals. Listen, those 3 years, and I've been doing this a long time. I was actually covering the Kareem Lakers pre-Magic out here in LA.
Let's get voted out real quick.
Okay.
real quick. Were any of those finals really competitive? Pacers,
That's what I said.
Sixers, and Nets. No, they weren't competitive. They dominated those teams.
Because
So Shaq,
you had the greatest offensive force I've ever seen, including
So it's not fair then, exactly.
Jordan. where he was unrefereeable at that point because I never knew whether it's offense or defense, on the foul.
I think Kobe could easily have had better numbers. He didn't have to. Shaq, those teams were not equipped to play against the Lakers. Credit Allen Iverson for getting the one game in 2001.
It was big. That was the greatest achievement of his career. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job. Way to go. Okay, you're getting close. I will.
How you doing?
Nice to see you.
Yep. So how is Magic the greatest Laker of all time when he wasn't even the greatest Laker on his team?
Ooh, that's what I was saying.
Kareem was first all-time in Lakers points, first in rebounds, first in blocks, first in field goals made. And he had an unstoppable move in the sky hook.
The hook.
One more championship because he has 6, Magic has 5, and he has 3 more MVPs.
Okay.
We haven't even got to Kobe yet.
We haven't. All right, let's look hard at Kareem's career. So he wins his first ring in Milwaukee, helped by Oscar Robertson kind of at the end of his career. So that's 1971. Then he goes 4 more years in Milwaukee and nothing really. They were pretty good, but they weren't great.
Okay.
Then he comes to LA in 76 is his first year with the Lakers. And again, there's no Magic yet, obviously.
Right.
And they miss the playoffs the first year. The second year, they get swept by Portland in the conference finals. The third year of Kareem, no Magic. They lose in the first round to Seattle. And the fourth year, Kareem, no Magic, they lose in the conference semifinals to Seattle. So they're floundering with Kareem because he was a follower and not a leader. I give you every point you made about points and about rebounds and about blocks and about sky hooks and all that is sensational. But there's a missing ingredient called leadership, charisma, whatever that greatest intangible is, that Magic had greater than anybody this side of Jordan.
Yeah, no,
So,
I give you that. I give you that for sure.
right.
But the thing about it is, you were talking about in 1980, right, when Magic won Rookie of the Year. Would he have won Rookie of the Year if he would have, would he have won Rookie of the Year?
Without Kareem,
Without
you mean?
Kareem, Kareem was averaging 33 points that series.
Well, I would like to
Before
think
he-
he
before
would
he
have.
got injured in
He could have
Game
gone
6.
to Utah or wherever he would have gone. I just think he would have been Rookie of the Year. But
Right.
he was the perfect fit at the perfect moment for this
He
team.
was.
And it
He was
became
the perfect fit.
a super
But-
team,
okay,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, it was Showtime, and they had Big Game James, obviously, and they had Byron, and they had Michael Cooper guarding the way nobody could guard on the perimeter. I give you all that.
Exactly.
But it gelled around the new son, S-U-N, who was Magic, right?
Right.
And he lifted them into what was 9 finals, okay?
Yep.
And he is the driving force. Kareem wasn't. Kareem was
Kobe.
really more of a Robin,
Kobe.
but you can make a case he was the greatest Robin of all time.
Kobe is the
Right.
Lakers.
I give you all your numbers because clearly it took LeBron playing now 22
Yeah,
years, but it
exactly.
took 21 years to break Kareem's record.
And that's the point that I was making, is that at the end of the day, like, unless Kareem just got unlucky because the best player of all time, LeBron James, took that scoring title from him, but he would have been able to keep that for his whole life. And then
He
if we
would
go
have.
to Kobe, right?
Right.
For example, if I was to take your papers right there, ball them up in a trash can and shoot it, whose name would we say? We wouldn't say Magic.
No.
Who we saying? We saying Kobe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. And when we talk about like keeping that mentality, how you go through life, how you focus on what you need to do in life, nobody says, keep that magic. They say keep that Mamba mentality.
Okay.
That's what it's all about.
Okay, but you grew up in the Mamba mentality era, am I right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's why I started off with Kareem first.
Okay, all right, you do, and I give you that.
Yeah.
But Magic Johnson was the greatest NBA leader ever, beyond Bill Russell, beyond Michael Jordan, beyond we got Brady over on the other side in the National Football League, so that's another argument. But on just NBA leadership,
That is.
Magic on charisma, on winning
good.
time, as he
Yeah.
called it winning time, and
But-
in my generation, winning time was more important than, because we didn't know Mamba mentality yet,
Right,
right?
I got
I
you.
want winning time.
I got,
I
but
want magic time.
Kobe had the same type of leadership style as far as like Kobe
did.
had aura. Like,
did.
job's not finished, like all of those things, but also
did.
he showed it in actions first. You know what I mean?
He did.
Wasn't really
I
about the
think-
partying or going out. He was so dedicated
I
to the
think
craft.
Kobe was a Jordan-esque leader, and he modeled every bit of his action, his very body language after Michael Jordan, and he led like Jordan did, and it wasn't a pretty sight because he could be a real
Ruthless guy, but it's because he's trying to be better for you.
just a tough leader, like a he gave nobody any
Yeah, he didn't give nobody no love. It was tough love.
slack at all. He pushed, he pulled, he cursed, he did it the way Jordan did it.
I
And
agree.
it was
Jordan would do it.
scary. It was like an intimidation, leadership by intimidation. Magic did it with a smile, but Magic, listen, I got to know him in his rookie year. He was as tough as they came. You wouldn't want to mess with him.
I agree with you. I mean, leadership comes in all different forms,
Yeah.
right? You never know how somebody's going to choose to lead, but you know, Kobe led in plenty of ways, and also all of the players that picked up a basketball because of his presence. We wouldn't have Devin Booker without Kobe. Jason Tatum is
I'm with
doing what he
you,
does.
but
So,
I'm
yeah.
looking at the first 4 years with no Shaq, and Kobe really struggled by himself because he couldn't figure out yet how to lead because he was a solo act of solo acts. Of
course.
So it took Jordan a while to figure out, hey, you actually need those 4 other guys along with 8, 9 other guys to get this done. And with Phil's help, he finally figured that out when they broke through. But even after the pout game in Game 7, if I look at Kobe winning the championship, getting even with the Boston Celtics in that Game 7, he shoots 6 of 24 in a Game 7. Well, that's not Mamba mentality, and,
Right.
and I didn't love that. It's like, remember, Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, hit the shot of shots in that game with a minute left. He hits a big 3 that gave them the cushion.
I'm a Celtics fan. I watched that. It broke my heart.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, thank you, Skip.
Way to go. Good job.
The Eagles fan, go.
Sorry. I think that Magic Johnson is one of the greatest Lakers of all time, but because he had a shortened career, unfortunately.
He did. It was still 12 years, but it should have been 20
12 years, but not 20 like Kareem,
Yeah.
like Kobe, like LeBron. But I'm going to go a little off path here. I'm going
Okay.
to argue that the logo was the greatest Laker of
You
all
can?
time.
Jerry West.
He only won one, but he had to play against the greatest dynasty in the history of the sport. He had to play against the greatest leader in the history of the
Who,
sport.
Larry Bird?
I think Bill Russell.
Bill Russell.
Who would
Bill
make,
Russell.
like Magic, everybody around him better.
Celtics.
Also, he scouted for the Lakers afterwards.
He did.
He coached the Lakers during the time that you're talking about Kareem getting there.
Not well, but he coached.
They actually did okay. They actually did okay. They didn't have a great team, but they did. Like, I think they got the Western Conference Finals at least once. And then he stepped aside, and when Buss wanted to hire Riley, because Magic pushed Westhead, right?
Out, yep.
Buss tried to make them co-coaches, and West and Riley, and West right afterwards said, that's not the case. It's Riley's team.
Right. He wanted no part of that.
And he's a
Right.
badass, like,
Yeah.
in that way. And he put together Showtime. He put together Shaq and Kobe. He helped Memphis have a team at all.
Okay,
he
but
helped
we're
put together.
not talking about post-career. We're talking about
Yeah, we're talking about basketball presence, bro.
playing career.
Yeah,
Because
playing career.
Jerry
talking about
West, to me, is the greatest GM ever in the history of
Yeah, he's a good GM.
the NBA. And by the way, Michael Jordan was the worst GM in the history of the NBA.
He was the
Just
worst GM.
For objectivity here. But to your point, okay, so Jerry West and the Lakers get to 9 finals, and he loses 8 times, and a lot of it had to do with that guy, Bill Russell.
To the greatest team ever,
But if I swap out, if I put Magic in place of the logo on those teams, Magic was the greatest winner this side of Michael Jordan that I ever closely observed and got to know. So if you put him in on those Jerry West teams with Wilt and with Elgin and with Gail Goodrich, that he puts them over the top because of his
Yeah, get him outta here.
dynamic charisma and leadership. It was unequaled. I've never seen anything like it.
Jerry's
It was the-
leadership, I'm sorry,
yeah,
but Jerry's
it was quiet leadership. It was, but it
but he had
wasn't.
Elgin,
Yeah, he
who
did.
was charismatic, who
Yeah.
was like Michael Jordan
No,
before Michael
I
Jordan.
got it, but man.
and West won the MVP of the finals, only person
In
I
a
think,
losing cause.
on a losing cause.
Yeah.
That's how
But
great he was.
He goes 1-8
He's the
in
logo
the finals,
of the NBA.
and you can't say that's better than
Just
Magic's
because, no.
winning time, showtime.
Also, to be the greatest Laker ever doesn't mean you're the greatest Laker player ever necessarily. It
Yeah, I
means you're the
understand
greatest.
that.
So he's the only one that was great as a player, great as a scout, I think good as a coach, great as a GM, great as an advisor, great as a logo for the entire NBA the whole time. He didn't ever do anything wrong.
Okay,
and he played
but
long.
if you put Jerry West on the Showtime teams, do you think they're Showtime? Because they're not, because he didn't play with any.
Kurt Rambis was on the
basketball
Showtime team.
Well, he was. He was like a sixth man or badass enforcer.
Jerry West would have been fine. He would have been like Byron Scott or better, right?
Yeah, but again, if you didn't have Magic Johnson on those teams, you don't have Showtime. There's no more Showtime.
You don't have Showtime.
And Jerry West was as pretty a jump shooter as I've ever seen. It was just beautiful form, and it was mesmerizing, but it wasn't captivating, right? It wasn't Magic Johnson. I couldn't take my eyes off Magic because he had the big smile. He had the greatest smile in the history of the game.
Yes.
And it was contagious on his team. He lifted his entire team with his own charisma.
He did, like Russell, like Russell did in his own way. But I didn't realize that compellingness was part of what made somebody the greatest Laker ever. I thought it was like scoring.
Well, leadership, and made to himself lock the cherries.
Sorry, but
My next claim is Michael Jordan is the GOAT and laughably better than LeBron James.
I agree with that.
Here we go. How are you, sir?
Good, how are you? Nice to meet you. I'm a big fan of your career, everything you stand for in this industry, but this awful take, I'm not going to let it seep through.
Okay.
So, Michael Jordan, there are two angles to looking at the GOAT debate. Number one, could Michael Jordan have done what LeBron is doing in this
era?
And vice versa. The other angle is there any single thing that Michael Jordan has done over the course of an entire career better than LeBron James? So I'm asking you, is there one thing that you could definitively say that Michael Jordan did better than LeBron James over the course of his entire NBA career?
Yeah, he won better. He just won and won and won. He was invincible and unbeatable, and he went 6-0 in the finals with 6 MVPs. And no, they
That's
didn't
hard to
play
argue.
the toughest competition in the finals, but the beasts were in the East, and he devoured and slayed the beasts one after another. Bird Celtics, then the bad boy Pistons, and then Reggie Miller's Pacers. And when you go 6-0 with 6 MVPs in the finals versus 4 and 6 in the finals for LeBron, and Ray Allen saved LeBron a loss there because LeBron had completely self-destructed in Game 6 of that 2013 finals. And then if Kyrie, when nobody can buy a shot, if Kyrie hadn't hit the shot of shots in Game 7 at Oracle, LeBron could be 2-8 in the finals. So we're talking about winning. I say it all the time. LeBron is still, to this moment, the best passer in basketball. I say it all the time. LeBron is still the greatest driver of the basketball I ever saw, to a fault, because he's a poor jump shooter, a poor three-point shooter by star standards, or certainly by superstar standards. And he's a poor free throw shooter by superstar standards. He should have 5,000 more points, but he's such a worse shooter than Jordan ever was as a jump shooter and a free throw shooter that it's hard for me to say, how can you call LeBron the GOAT when he's a lousy shooter?
Part of the argument to what you said is everything you just said is wrong. So if you look at true shooting percentage, which takes into account all the offense, all the scoring, who had the better true shooting percentage in his NBA career in the regular season? LeBron James. Who had the better true shooting percentage in the playoffs? LeBron James. And you just said Michael Jordan won a lot better. So starting 1-9 in the playoffs in his career doesn't count, just doesn't matter. Okay. Or losing to the Pistons over and over again.
And over just doesn't matter?
Was so dominated by any level of physicality because he was soft. So that does not count. That doesn't matter.
Wait, did you just call Michael Jordan soft?
Compared to LeBron James?
He was the baddest you-know-what who ever stepped on a basketball court. Trust me, I was there. Not like LeBron?
Not like LeBron.
Not on LeBron, yep.
LeBron is like the nicest guy ever. He's soft. He's a diva. He's thin-skinned. And can I start down the litany of epic fails that LeBron had that Jordan never had? Yeah, it took a while to break through against Larry Bird's Celtics.
I'm like, damn.
But remember that Michael Jordan had missed the whole year. He played 3 games and broke his foot. This is his second year in the league. And he comes back just for the playoffs and goes up against arguably the '86 Celtics were the You could make a case they were the greatest team ever. And what does he do? He scores 49 in game 1, and in game 2, he scores 63. It took double overtime, but after that game, Larry Bird said that was God disguised as Michael Jordan. Well, trust me, Larry Bird would have never said God disguised as LeBron James, because look at the epic failures here. Do you remember 2010, the last go-around of the first stint in Cleveland? It's against the Celtics in the playoffs. It's the conference semifinals. They
Yes, I
went
remember that one.
big by 22. He's 14 of 22 from the floor. That's game 3. Then we get to 4, 5, and 6, and right on schedule, he just crumbles to the
Yikes.
point that
I remember
he
that.
had somebody from his inner circle tell Stephen A. Smith at ESPN, because I was there alongside Stephen A. at that point, that LeBron had to be sedated before games 4, 5, and 6 because he was having some locker room issue with a teammate, Delonte West. Listen, Michael Jordan never had any issues with locker room teammates because they wouldn't dare to have an issue with Michael Jordan. So the point was he had to be sedated? What a wimp, what a weenie. Is that what we're talking about? And then Dan Gilbert, his owner, a few weeks later, accused LeBron of quitting in those finals. And then do you remember the first go-around with the Heat, the 2011 finals? Do you remember the chosen one became the frozen one? I've never seen it.
Yikes, chill, bro. Nah.
Jordan never did that. Even when they were starting 1-9, people were scared to death. Nice try. Yeah.
Damn,
Good
that fool
job.
was quick.
You got some quicks, man. I'm impressed.
Because I'm ready to come get you.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, I'm gonna start here with you. You want to discredit
Bro's
talking
voice is
about
crazy.
1-9 in the playoffs, and then not even talk about the fact that he couldn't even get to the finals in his first 6, 7 seasons, right? So you prefer somebody not even making it to the finals? That's crazy. You want to
Think of
discount
what
it?
he had in the way. He had 2 of the greatest teams ever in the way, and he
mean-
didn't even have a Robin yet. He was going solo. He didn't have a Scottie
And
Pippen
LeBron did.
yet.
LeBron did first couple years.
Okay, I'll
LeBron
give you
did.
that. I
And
haven't
he
even
made it to the
brought up-
finals. He made it to the finals with
Okay,
a
and-
less roster than Jordan did.
And they got swept
Right.
by the Spurs, and I didn't even bring that up because I give you that one.
So
I'm not going to hold that
so
against
you want to
LeBron.
hold somebody accountable for going to the finals and
Mm-hmm.
losing than not going to the finals at all.
Okay.
Right? More money to the city, so many more things accomplished, less players on the
Okay.
team, right? Then his other final losses, right? You could even talk about the fact that when he went up against the Warriors, he didn't even have a running mate with him either, right? So every time you want to protect
Okay, but-
Jordan, I
okay,
knew you were going to
real
go with
quick.
6-0.
Okay, so he goes up against the Warriors.
Okay.
And I always give him this. Those first 3 games, you remember, because he doesn't have Kevin Love.
Or
he-
Kyrie.
Gone already.
Oh, I
right?
think he did have Kyrie for the first 2 games, and he gets injured.
Kyrie fractures his kneecap
Yeah, his
in
kneecap.
overtime of game 1
Yep.
at Oracle. Remember
Okay,
that?
so it was game 1. Yeah, I remember that one.
LeBron put up the greatest numbers of his career.
Ever. He was scoring like I think 40 points per game that playoff series.
3 straight games. And I'm like, you got this team, because they weren't the Warriors yet. They obviously didn't have KD yet, and they weren't sure who they were. So they're down 2 games to 1, and game 4 is in LeBron's house in Cleveland. And in game 4, he was horrible. He goes 7 of 22. He was 5 of 10 from the free throw line. And I'm like, the next day, I'm telling Stephen A. on ESPN, he had a chance to step on their throats. It was, remember, the Iguodala game where Steve Kerr said, I'm going to switch. I'm going to start Iguodala, and I'm going to put him on LeBron. And LeBron
And that was perfect.
just shrank. He closed up. He had them. If he had stepped on their throats and they'd gone up 3 games
I
to
agree
1
that.
this is the 2015 finals, the first one against the Warriors.
I agree on that
You
take,
got
but
me. That you could make a go case, but instead he shrinks and disappears in games. Here we go again, 4, 5, and 6 right on schedule, and they lose in 6 games. So he couldn't close deals. All the great clutch shots that Jordan made, they closed deals. LeBron's made a few clutch shots, but they never mattered. They were never meaningful. They never ended series or games or championships.
No, you see, that's where you're trying to pick and choose, right? You want to talk
No.
about clutch games, but then you don't want to talk about how he's dragged so many teams to the finals, right? And
Did
he's
he
the one
drag
who's,
the
and
Heat
he's
to
the
the
one
finals?
and he's the one hitting the game-winning shots, right? The same way he took Toronto out, right? The amount of times he did that countless times, you don't want to talk
same
about.
way he took Chicago out.
Well, I will.
You want to only talk about when Jordan does it in the finals as if Jordan's career was only 6 years. He's 6 on the finals, but his career isn't 6 years.
No.
He had 6 to 7 years before that, and then he had another 2 years in the Washington Wizards at 40 years old. We don't want to talk about LeBron at 40 now.
Okay,
They literally tried to drag him out the court. Gilbert Arenas talked about how they literally was ready to hand him the keys and get Jordan out of there by 40.
They were
he was
two
a cancer.
ceremonial years. He wasn't a cancer.
Yeah,
he was running the show. He was going to be the GM and the head coach
they
and
were horrible.
the fading superstar.
So,
he averaged.
those years don't count then. That's
Okay,
the way it sounds like
the
to me.
last 2 years I don't count.
That's crazy.
Okay,
So, but then you want to count everything about
wait.
LeBron. You want to count everything about LeBron, but then
Okay.
take some years out.
He took 3 years off. He retired because they ran his coach out the back door in Chicago, and he
fault is
said,
that?
"I'm out." Well, it was on pride and principle. He just said, "I'm out. I'm not going to play anymore." And he came
And
back because
greatness
he was.
means keep playing year in and year
No,
out.
it
Every
doesn't.
year, LeBron
True.
keeps extending his career because the love of the game and that matters,
He has the greatest longevity ever.
right?
Ever.
His heart is still in it,
in
and
the
he's going
short
even
time he
towards
played,
40.
Jordan won 10 scoring titles to LeBron's 1 scoring title. Jordan was the defensive player of the year in 1989. He's the defensive player. LeBron was never defensive player. 9 times Jordan was first team all defense. I'll give you 5 times early in his career, LeBron was first
Could you
team all
not
defense.
argue that LeBron should have got way more MVPs? Because he was
True. He's the best player of all time.
always the best player all those years, but they don't count it.
Okay,
So now we're
you
going to take away accolades from him
You don't
versus
think
at a
Jordan was
time.
the best player for 11 straight years in Chicago?
No,
He
that's
was.
fine. That-
It was just ridiculous how
That's-
much better he was.
I'm not arguing that.
Okay. All right. So let's look at LeBron's buzzer beaters, okay? Because I know them by heart.
And he has more buzzer beaters than Jordan.
No, he doesn't. It's 9-8 Jordan. It's 9-8. I'm not cherry picking. I'm not semantics. I'm just telling you the truth. It's 9-8 Jordan, and I'm giving the 8th that thing the other night.
I'm sorry, wait, you're only talking about the playoffs, 9-8.
No, I'm doing total regular season and playoffs. The other night,
Please fact check.
LeBron had a little tip in at the buzzer. Do you remember this? On Luka's missed shot, and LeBron's just right at the rim.
He says, "Someone please fact check. Somebody, he's a producer. Fact check this."
Over the rim. And
Fact
could
check
count
'em.
that as a buzzer beater, and it was the weakest, easiest buzzer beater in the history of buzzer beaters. Okay, all right.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so here are your. I'm going to get to Jordan's in a minute, but I'm watching every game LeBron plays, and it took him 477 NBA games before he finally hit a walk-off shot, and it was on Ronnie Turioff. It was at Golden State. This is probably way before your time because this was January 23rd of 2009. It was a regular season game, okay? And he hit it, and I'm like, way to go. I stood up and gave him a standing ovation. And then he hit the shot heard round the world against Orlando in Game 2 at Cleveland. You'll remember this. In the year that they ended up losing to the Magic.
True.
Okay.
But the game is more than just game-winning shots. You know that, right?
No,
Right now,
I know
you're going
that,
down
but-
a rabbit hole if
okay.
you want to talk about like clutch shots, end
Okay,
of game.
but-
But there's 47 minutes before
Okay,
that you
I
got to play.
understand that,
Which
but
LeBron
here's the
is.
point.
Go ahead.
LeBron was born without a clutch gene. It's as simple as that. He just was. Jordan is the greatest clutch shooter I ever saw, and LeBron can be the weakest mentally superstar I've ever witnessed because he's afraid of the late game free throw line. And in late and close situations, since LeBron came into the league, he's the worst by
Why
far.
is basketball so much about the last 30 seconds when there's 47 minutes and 30 seconds in the game?
You're trying to make
and
a
there's
GOAT
so
case.
Much, yeah,
You're-
GOAT
okay,
case, exactly.
okay, and you're
exactly,
trying to make it
right?
over Michael Jordan.
Exactly.
Here we go.
You did a good job. You did a good job. Way to go.
He did do a good job.
You're going to need that cross
Yes.
around your neck.
Yes, I will. I don't think LeBron's the GOAT. I don't think Michael Jordan's the GOAT either, though.
Oh, so
Oh, here we go.
we're going a different direction.
I think we're going to go in the direction of Stephen Curry. And I'm going to.
Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry, my guy. Stephen Curry?
point out your simple statement in one word.
Steph Curry?
I know, that's what I said. Steph Curry? He's the greatest shooter of all time. I'll give you that. The greatest basketball player of all, like all around. We're talking about an all-around basketball player. The greatest of all time is not Stephen Curry. Oh.
You said last.
I'll give you. Steph Curry can be compared to D Wade.
Okay.
And to me, that's bigger than Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. You are simply hitting and taking a hit, a personal shot at the entire game of basketball that we are watching today. And to me, you bring up competition. I think
No.
Steph Curry and LeBron James and have go head to head in their rivalry. LeBron always posts on Instagram, he says, iron sharpens iron. Where was the iron sharpening iron with Michael Jordan when he was winning all of his championships? I understand that 6-0 is something that is perfect. You really can't debate it. But what you can do is say, all right, it was a beautiful thing. We're going to leave it in the past because there is greatness in front of our eyes, and it's LeBron James and it's Stephen Curry. And then we get into LeBron versus Steph, and I'm going to sit here and say, Steph Curry, if he wins a 5th championship, which he will, which is why I'm saying Steph's the GOAT, if he wins that 5th title, he is the greatest of all time.
Okay. Do you realize that Steph Curry and company had a 3-1 lead on LeBron without there's?
I know. I was about to say that makes him like automatically taken out.
Kevin Durant involved here, right? It's just Steph. So it's. I think you would agree that was Steph's team, right?
It was
there's
a tough
Clay and
performance.
there's Draymond, and we get all that. But it's Steph Curry or bust to me.
Game 5.
Because. Okay.
Draymond Green.
You've got. He's gone. He's gone. So you don't
Why?
have.
Because
He
LeBron
but
made him gone.
If Steph is the GOAT.
No. Whatever.
He's got 2 out of 3 at home to close the deal. All he's got to do is win 1 of 3, and 2 out of the 3 are at Oracle. And he can't pull it off because he's not that guy. He's not the GOAT. And what happened in Game 7 at Oracle? Remember LeBron's chase down block? Remember this?
Yep,
And
my heart
Kyrie
sank.
hits the game-winning shot. In the 4th quarter of that game, Steph Curry went 1 of 6, and he went 1 of 4 from 3.
Bro disappeared that game.
I'm sorry, 1 of 5 from 3, and he had a terrible turnover with 2 minutes left where he tried to throw it behind his back and threw it in the 5th row, and it was a key turning point in that game. And without Steph disappearing in the 4th quarter, LeBron and Kyrie cannot do what they ended up doing. And after they blew the 3-1 lead, what happened on July?
This guy's a follower. Bro, just seen everybody put a red flag, and he's like, all right, let me go put a red flag.
4th that summer, Steph Curry led a contingent in a private plane, and they fly all the way across the country out to the tip of Long Island to visit Kevin Durant. And Steph Curry got down on one knee and said, you've got to come save us. You, Kevin Durant, have to come save us because we can't beat LeBron James
There's
without
no
you."
way.
I understand that.
So you're disqualified as the GOAT. If you have to go beg somebody
You're not
to come save
disqualified
you.
because LeBron James, everyone here is talking about LeBron as the GOAT, and he did a very similar thing. When you look at Steph Curry and his greatness, I get that he choked in that moment. The 3-1 lead, you're never going to be able to beat that.
Nope.
But what he did in 22 against the Celtics and what he's doing now, you love Tom Brady. His best years are ahead of him, and I'm predicting that right now. Yes.
No, really? No, bro, stop it. No, his best years were already. No. Okay.
1,000%.
Well,
I think the next 5 years of Stephen Curry are going to be his best 5 years.
Oh, yikes.
We don't know that. I'll bet against that because he's
I will.
37 years of age.
Understand.
Interesting. Way to go. Good job.
No, I didn't like that take.
What's up, Skip?
How are
you
you,
doing,
sir?
my man? Good to see you.
Dodger fan.
Right now, I gotta school you on this. LeBron is the GOAT. He is the GOAT. I know MJ is 6-0. We're kind of just like mystified with that. But LeBron's longevity for 22 years, the
I know that's ridiculous.
work that he's done since 03.
Okay.
And he's been in the shadow of MJ for 22 years. He hasn't been, MJ, who did he look up to? He was with Magic, Magic, that smiling face. Love Magic, but he wasn't as intimidating as being in Jordan's shadow for
Agreed.
22 years of
Okay.
his career.
All right.
I know the 4-6 in the finals, but man, 10 NBA Finals appearances.
That's
And,
ridiculous.
Just one more thing. I know we've talked about this. 2021, finals. The finals was the Nets versus the Bucks. 2018, it was Rockets Warriors. Jordan had to deal with that in the East. Oh, he wasn't pushed to a Game 7. He got pushed to a Game 7 in the Eastern Conference semifinals in '92. He got pushed to a Game 7 in '98 in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's been pushed before. He still triumphs. Jordan, that 6-0. We're always going to be mystified from that. All around,
Okay.
it's LeBron.
I'm going to give you your first point. LeBron James is the longevity king. I mean, it's unquestioned. He is the most durable superstar ever. I'm watching a game the other night.
Dead ass.
And he hooks his thumb on the rim and pulls it. And I thought, oh, God, because that's your shooting hand. And I thought, man, are you gone? Nope. They go tape it up, and he goes right back in. Incredible, blessed durability. That's how you play 22 years at age 40. LeBron has now played in the regular season 60,000 minutes to Jordan's 40,000 minutes. So it's an apple and an orange almost. And if we go total, it's 71,000. If I add the playoff minutes in, 71,000 to 48,000. That's
Damn.
23,000. That's a magic number that LeBron tried to steal from Jordan, and he shouldn't have. Because LeBron wished a lot of this on himself. He
Can I
right
ask-
away declared himself, I got next. I'm the next Jordan.
How many times during LeBron's 22 illustrious career, how many times did he take a break? I know Jordan's done that a few times.
He got one break
You gotta
before
go
they
down
won
a
their
little bit.
last championship in the bubble, the Mickey Mouse
And
championship.
let's be honest. LeBron had the craziest expectations ever. There's no player that had more expectations coming out of high school than LeBron James. Everybody already expected him to be good, and he lived up to the expectations, even over lived up to them, in my opinion. And like every other player that says, "Oh, this is gonna be the next person," or "This is gonna be the," they never live up to that expectation.
As I call it.
he got a break.
He got like a 4-month break ahead of that, and it served him well because I
Not
don't
18
think he's
months.
going to
He
win
didn't play
another
minor
chip.
league. He didn't go in the minor
No.
leagues. He didn't go try to go be an
No.
owner of the
And
league.
the players in this era are just way more
2
skilled.
straight years
He
playing
has
in the NBA.
longevity
So
king.
many
That
playoff.
doesn't
Especially with all these AAU teams, all these freaking travel ball teams, all
He's the
this
GOAT.
shit.
That makes you
10
the longevity
NBA
king.
Finals appearances.
Okay.
MJ couldn't get to 10. He couldn't get past the Pistons, just like LeBron couldn't
I mean,
get past
he did
the Warriors.
get past the Pistons finally.
After
And
3
there was
years.
a book written about it called The Jordan Rules,
it was
in
a
which
butt-whooping.
it detailed the rules with which the Detroit Pistons, the bad boys, had to stop Michael Jordan.
And thankfully
they
he
were
got
scared
Scotty.
to death of him.
Thankfully he got Scotty during that time
Yep.
because and he also had a head coach Phil Jackson during that time. Once they
did?
figured that out. But who did LeBron have as a head coach during that time? Mike Brown. Mike Brown is no Phil Jackson.
Nope,
He
I'll give
had
you that.
Antoine Jameson. He had Ilgauskas. That's why he
Yep.
had to go to Miami. He had to go over there
He
and
did.
team up. He learned how to win. And when
Eric Spoelstra is a real live
A
coach.
really great coach. He's one of the greatest coaches
So
ever.
I would bank on Eric Spoelstra, and remember, Pat Riley was coaching the coach in that situation, so that was optimum. That was ideal, and LeBron needed a big brother to teach him how to win, and Dwayne Wade was
Wade
that guy. Okay.
Because he already had one before.
All right. Good job.
You're the man.
Way to go. Thank you.
I think my biggest gripe with your argument is the word laughably. I think your top 10 NBA players of all time is
Jordan.
well documented. You've got people like Larry Bird in there.
I do.
You've got Shaq in there.
I do.
Did you know those two guys, within the last 3 to 5 years, have deferred to LeBron and called LeBron the GOAT?
I'm not sure
You have
Larry Bird has, but
Sure
Shaq
has.
on TV will say
verbatim,
that.
verbatim, Larry Bird said, LeBron is one of, if not the greatest ever.
Okay.
You have him at, I think, at number 7.
I do. 9, actually.
9.
Just real quick, I got obviously Jordan, Magic, Shaq, Kareem, Tim
What?
Duncan, Bill Russell, Kobe 7, Bird 8,
What? Nah, this guy's.
Shaq, Kareem 9, actually.
9.
Just real quick, I got obviously Jordan, Magic,
Jordan, Magic,
Shaq,
Shaq,
Kareem,
Tim
Tim
Duncan,
Duncan, Bill Russell, Kobe 7,
Kobe 7,
Bird 8, and LeBron
Bird.
9.
No.
Because I'm taking Kobe and Larry Bird as clutch players over LeBron James every day and every night.
So if you look this up, Shaq also said that LeBron is the greatest ever. So with that being said, if Shaq is deferred to LeBron and said he's the greatest ever, that would at least make him 3. He deferred to that. He gave him 3. So the word laughably is really crazy to me. because also you've called LeBron weak. You called him
Mentally
soft,
weak,
mentally
yep.
weak, mentally soft.
Call him a crybaby.
It takes a lot of mental fortitude to play in the NBA for 22 years. It takes a lot of mental fortitude to be, called the king at age 13, 14,
Exactly.
and live up to all those expectations without a hiccup off the court,
All right.
without being, without being in the news for a negative reason. It
Okay,
takes a
I
lot
give
of
you
mental
that.
fortitude to do that.
I give you all that, but we're just talking about your
That's
performance
what I was saying.
on the court.
Sure, but he's the greatest. He has the
and
most
this
points
is
ever.
this is what really kills me about what I call you LeBron supporters. You're fanatic about it. You're blind witness because you're blind to what happens. You expunge his record. You scrub his record. You don't want to hear all the negatives, and they just pile up. I call them epic fails, and I've given a couple so far, and I'm going to give a few more.
Yikes.
If we can go back to that fateful Game 6 of the 2013 Finals, I don't know if it's before your time, but I'm sure you were watching.
I'm sure you were watching.
At Miami, and the Spurs have a chance to
I was watching.
close it out in 6 games, and they're up 5 points with 18 seconds left. And I was a Spurs fan at this point, and it was unheard of to blow a lead, especially in a game of that magnitude that way. Down the stretch of that game,
LeBron misses the 3. Chris Bosh grabs the rebound, kicks it back to Ray Allen. Ray Allen shoots, saves LeBron's career. Saves LeBron's. Yeah, I guess you could say
in the
that.
final minute, with 40 seconds left and 20 seconds left, this is Game 6 closeout potential. LeBron had 2 unforced error turnovers that were horrendous. Even I'm not a LeBron fan, but I sat back and I said, "What are you doing, man?" He's unraveling. He made 1 3, but then he had to take a 3 to tie the game.
Yeah, and he missed.
6 seconds left. And he, as I say, lubricked
Which would be a clutch shot.
Okay, it would be, but he
Also,
lubricked it. He bounded it. It
one
hit
thing
hard
about
off
the
bat.
epic
I know what he's talking about.
It's about the epic failures.
Yeah.
Would you call Jordan getting swept in the first round 3 times an epic failure?
Nope, because they weren't epic, because they weren't magnitude games, because these are in the finals. I'm going to the finals. So it took Ray Allen making the greatest clutch shot I have ever witnessed.
I know what he's talking about. He had like a fucking hand right in his face. Bro was like, that shit was crazy.
It's a
He
little
had Danny Green right in front of him.
a long rebound out, and it's Chris Bosh goes out and tracks it down and kicks it in the corner.
To call someone LeBrick while having the most points ever is wild. Now, I know you're a Jordan guy. It pained me to say that Jordan's been swept 3 times in the first round because I'm a Jordan guy too. But to laughably say that LeBron and Jordan aren't even in the same conversation, that's
But let's be real. Let's be real. What shoes are you wearing right now? You ain't wearing LeBron's. You don't want to go get bronze. You want to go get Jordans.
Let's
be real.
Let's
be real.
How about the Western
Let's be real. We ain't collecting LeBron's. Collecting Jordans.
Conference Finals
I'll
just
give
2
you
years
that
ago
one.
against Denver, okay? So the Lakers wind up getting swept, but 4 straight times they go
It's hard for me for this. Like, I like LeBron and I like Jordan. It's like hard.
the fourth quarter right there. It's a winnable game for LeBron and company. First 2 are in Denver.
If he gets up and he's wearing Jordans, he cannot be arguing this.
Second 2 at home. If you combine
Everybody's
his
wearing
shooting stats
Jordans,
for the
bro.
Fourth quarters, he's 7 of 23 crypt.
I'm sorry, but I want to see his shoes.
And he won't shoot in the
He's wearing Jordans. He's wearing Jordans.
fourth quarter of a winnable game. I'm going, what are you doing, man? Just take over. You can do this. You can rise above Joker and Jamal. It's because LeBron.
Sorry.
Get up.
Why does a killer say that?
Okay, let's see what he was wearing. Where is he at? Oh, he's right there. Okay, he's wearing Air Force Ones. He's wearing Jordans.
I got it.
You've been chomping.
Let's see. Whoever makes this argument and they're wearing Jordans, bro, you cannot make that argument. This guy better not be wearing Jordans. I think he's wearing Air Force Ones, so he's good.
I got it.
You've been chomping to get up here.
Yeah, I've been ready for this. All right, but first I gotta say
Ziggy?
this. It could be SGA. It could be SDA. can call the CIA. Lakers in 5. Okay. Just gotta get out the way. All right.
Okay. Lakers in 5 to do what?
To win the finals, win everything.
To win this year's finals?
No, bro, stop it.
Friend, Shannon Sharp, yeah. Let's get back to the prompt, okay? I like facts. Facts, numbers,
So do I.
that's something you can't lie about facts, okay? I like to say that LeBron is the greatest player of all time because of several reasons. He's the only player to be in the 30-point club, 10K club for assists and rebounds. He's the only player to be positioned in as a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center at the same time. Okay.
That's crazy.
You have to debate that, Michael Jordan or LeBron James is the GOAT in longevity. He's the GOAT just entirely because of what he's able to accomplish. What he's doing at age 40, he's breaking people's ankles. He's dunking on people at age 40.
I agree with you. I've never seen anything like
I've never seen anything.
What he's doing.
40.
And he's averaging as much points as he did in 2013 as the MVP. He averaged
That's ridiculous.
7 and 7. He's averaging 25, 8 and 8 as a 40-year-old.
He's actually shooting the ball better than he has in 22 years.
I know, he has.
From the free throw line and the three-point line combined, his shooting stats are the best ever. They don't rank highly this year in the NBA, but again, he's all the way up to 77% from the free throw line and 38% from the three-point line. What took him so long? I'm like, what have you been doing? I thought you were in the lab. This is you, 22, and it took you this long to become an average free throw shooter, average. Okay.
Stop it, bro. Stop it.
At 22,
facts.
yeah, I'm doing stats and facts. You can take the last, say 5 40-year-old players that played in the NBA that played at least 40 games. All right.
They cannot compare to LeBron.
Take Manu Ginobili, Dirk Nowitzki, Vince Carter, Jason.
You got me.
You got even Michael Jordan.
All their retired numbers, put them together, and they won't average.
No, stop it, bro. Stop it, bro. You wearing Michael Jordan shoes? Stop it, bro. Oh my God. Don't make this argument with Michael Jordan shoes.
They will not.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Does that make him the GOAT?
Where LeBron's?
Longevity GOAT.
Well, it's part of it. I think it's a part of it. And you.
I mean, like, what shoes are you wearing right now? You're wearing Michael
Jordan's the
Jordans.
most clutch player ever. LeBron is actually more clutch than Jordan was. There's a website called Fadeaway World. You can look it up. The criteria for clutch is anything in the last minute.
That's not what my stats say or scream.
Well, I'm telling you what I found.
Okay.
So I found that they said that clutch means in the last minute of a fourth quarter or overtime game with at least 20 field goals attempted. LeBron James is 4th overall, hitting 54 shots. Jordan is 27th, hitting 9 of the shots out of 31.
All right, let me just remind you. When Jordan made clutch shots, they really, really mattered. They endured.
That one versus Jazz, Utah.
They were historic clutch shots because
They were
he
historic.
first introduced himself as a freshman
I'm not lie, they were.
North Carolina in the 1982, the college, the NCAA championship game. He makes the walk-off shot, a jump shot, and Dean Smith
In the championship game.
his number, not James Worthy's number, not Sam Perkins' number. He called Michael Jordan's number as a freshman. He was called Mike Jordan at that point. And then, remember, he introduced himself to the NBA world against Craig Elo in Cleveland, Game 5. This is the closeout game. This is for all the marbles, and he hits a hanging walk-off shot jumper over Craig Elo, and it became iconic.
That was.
See, you can just call it up on YouTube right now and look at the highlight and look at his celebration. It won the series, okay, his first playoff series. And then
he's wearing Michael Jordans.
I was there on press row, courtside, Game 6 at Utah. Little subtle push off Brian Russell against the Jazz.
That was another iconic.
Holds the pose just beyond the free throw line and rips it, and it's a walk-off. Stockton got some heave at the buzzer, but it was a walk-off. It won the championship. It won Game 6. It closed them out. All of his shots had magnitude. Jordan, but then I look at LeBron, and all of his walk-offs, and I'm giving him that little tip in the other day. Okay,
Still a buzzer beater.
Let's call it 7 walk-off shots. They didn't matter. They didn't get you anywhere. There are 3 in the playoffs, and they're pretty good. But what do they say about the blind squirrel? He finds an acorn every once in a while. If you're going to play 71,000 minutes, you're going to hit a few walk-offs here and there when you play that much longer than Michael Jordan did.
He does not agree with that.
Thank you.
You're wearing Michael Jordan shoes, bro.
Everybody did great. Thank you. My next claim is Patrick Mahomes is dramatically overrated.
Oh, no, you're tripping on that one.
Oh, sorry, boys. Represent Nick Wright. Shout out Nick Wright.
How are
That
you?
fool was ready.
Skip, how are you, my friend?
I think I know where this is going.
Everybody's got a Kansas City shirt up.
All right, Skip. So in order for someone to be overrated, they cannot be overrated in a vacuum. That doesn't exist. You have to be overrated compared to a standard or compared to a player. Give me 30 seconds and give me how he's overrated with those parameters, because I can't go off just that.
I only need 2 seconds.
Okay.
Tom Brady.
Okay.
Oh.
Same. So
But he's already caught up to him. He got 3. I think Patrick Mahomes has 3.
So
Boom,
the same guy.
over.
So the same
Over.
guy in the 2010 wild card at home in Gillette, the house Brady.
And then, you know what? I think Patrick Mahomes is the last person to beat Tom Brady
got blown
as
out
a
by Joe
Patriot.
Flacco, 33-14. He threw for, in Skip's terms, a grand total of 152 yards and 3 interceptions and got punked by Joe Flacco. That guy?
I think he did watch. Let's see. Oh, it was the Titans. Never mind, it was the Titans. I'm tripping.
No, the guy who went to 10 Super Bowls and won 7.
got outplayed by Eli Manning twice.
And Bill Belichick
Twice.
cost him 2 Super
He
Bowls.
also won him 3.
Okay.
Tom Brady has never won a Super Bowl without a top 10 defense. Ever.
Okay.
Period.
True.
End of conversation. Pro Football Reference, look it up.
Okay. So, but this is about Patrick Mahomes, and I think you're ducking and dodging the issue.
What are you talking
because
about?
you got to defend his Super Bowl
If you
performances.
want me to say, okay,
because
Super
I don't
Bowl
think you
performances,
can.
how can you bomb a wild card game at home in Gillette
Okay.
and then say, oh, you made the most important game of the year and didn't play your best? This is bizarre to me.
Time
it will
out.
never make sense. No,
You know
real fast. Let me
Arrowhead.
make
Uh-oh.
this real fast. Greatest stadium in the world, 142.2 decibels, baby.
Do you remember
this
the
is
2018 AFC Championship game
where
at
Patrick never touched
Arrowhead?
the ball, and the
Okay.
Chiefs wanted the rules changed. They didn't
Yeah.
do it, but they did it for
Wait,
the Buffalo Bills.
Do you remember what Tom Brady did in your house?
Did
3 times in a row, he
That's
faced
inc-
third
you're
and
right.
10. 3 third and 10s in
You're
a row.
right. You're right. He
And he
did.
goes, Edelman, Gronk,
Okay.
ball game.
The same way Patrick Mahomes in Super Bowl 58, down 3 points in overtime, 2 fourth downs, a second and 14, because Marquez Valdez-Scantling forgot which way the end zone was and ran backwards, and he
did.
converted and
I'll give you
converted
that.
and converted, and he hit who in the end zone? McCole Hardman for a touchdown
He did.
back to back. Now let
I'll
me
give you
ask you
that.
this. Let
In
me
fact,
ask you
that
this.
was his
Let me-
one and
let
only
me-
great Super
It was
Bowl.
unbelievable,
Only.
all-time clutch. Also
Yeah.
about this, since 2001, there has been 125 NFL playoff drives where the score was 7 points or less in the fourth quarter or in overtime. The rate of success of that is 40%.
Okay.
Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., as you
That's
like to
my
put
guy.
it,
Yep.
went 5 for 11 in that situation, which is 46%. That's pretty dang good.
I'd
That's
say.
not bad. Okay. Patrick Mahomes went 7 for 7. What do you think?
Woohoo!
That one, Skip. Tell me, come on, buddy.
Okay,
Shout out Shannon Sharp.
Let's get to the
Shout out Shannon Sharp.
facts here.
Okay.
Let's get to his
Shout out Hunk.
first
All-time
Super
clutch.
Bowl against Jimmy Garoppolo. Really? Okay. Where you guys are down 20-10 late third quarter, and he throws a horrendous interception. Where I'm saying, what are you doing, man? Then early fourth quarter, you're still down 20-10, and he throws an even worse interception.
He did.
And you're sitting somewhere, I guess, at home, and you're saying, Patrick, what are you doing? We're dead. And all of a sudden, it gets to be third.
But
and
you
for-
can't call somebody overrated that goes to the Super Bowl over and over and over again.
Ever. Do you remember it's third and
Yeah,
15
the
at the
fair catch to
35?
Tyreek.
They'll did a
And
three-peat.
all of a
Was
sudden,
about to
Patrick
do a
Mahomes
three-peat.
drops back, and there's a
Had it not
rusher
been
in
for
his
the
face, and
Eagles.
he basically goes like this. Like, let me just throw it as far as I can.
it was
He
on
throws,
the money,
he
dude.
throws
Come on.
a punt that Tyreek had to come back and wave for fair catch. That's how bad it was. Okay? Okay, and that saved the game, and yet Jimmy Garoppolo in the fourth quarter goes 3 for 11 with an interception for 36 total yards, and he missed Emmanuel Sanders, or we're having a different conversation. That's how you survived the first Super Bowl. The second Super Bowl is against Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.
He had no
right?
offensive line.
Okay,
Literally,
no offense. I keep hearing that,
5 of
but
us could have been out there.
but it was
Dead ass.
31-9. Tom Brady never lost a Super Bowl with a blowout loss.
Patrick Mahomes broke
31
the
to
NFL
9.
record for rushing yards behind the line of scrimmage in that game.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I keep hearing, but I think he was just bad in that game.
It was not his
okay?
best game.
No
100%
touchdowns,
give that
2
to you.
interceptions.
Just like that 2010
okay,
wild card
then
game in Gillette.
against the first Eagles Super Bowl against Jalen. Jalen throws for 304 to Patrick's 182. He only threw for 182 yards. And the Eagles are driving to make it 21-7, and Jalen Hurts, late second quarter, just loses the handle on the football. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? And it bounces one time to Nick Bolton, who scoops it and scores with it, takes it to the house, and it changes the game because it saved you from 21-7 down. And the Patrick, in the fourth quarter, Kadarius Toney returns that punt. Do you remember that? 65 yards?
I do.
Okay. I didn't think Patrick played all that well in that game. Jalen outplayed him.
No, he did not. That's absurd.
Well,
That is
304 to
completely absurd.
182 in yards
Patrick
passing.
Mahomes was all-time great in the second. He played a perfect second half.
All right, and then
could not have been better.
I
don't know about that one. He did not play. He was very, very slow this Super Bowl. He took a long time to warm up. He couldn't even throw it to Travis Kelce's favorite receiver. I think he got one reception, if I'm not mistaken.
One at Las Vegas. That was tremendous because every once in a while, Patrick Mahomes can be really good, and he was really good.
Most talented quarterback ever.
Just recently,
He's good. He's good. He's not the most. Tom Brady is.
40 to 22 Eagles, and Patrick Mahomes had a QBR in that game of 11.
There is
That's
no
0 to 100. He had an
There
11.
is no roster from
What?
the AFC that would have hung
11?
them. Would not have. That is the best single season roster. Shout out Eagles. Best single season roster I've ever seen. Where were they not?
Dead ass.
Jalen Hurts is a top 7 quarterback. Top 7 quarterback. You could say he was.
And they have like one of the greatest rosters. They got AJ Brown. They got Devontae Smith. They got Jalen Carter. They got at the time they had Darius Slayton. They had CJ Garner Johnson.
Starter on their team. That team rolled everywhere. They lost one game after week 4 to the Commanders in a really funny, what's kind of going on, Jalen gets hurt
That's why
type
I picked
situation.
the Eagles to win it all in August.
You also
okay?
picked the Ravens.
Okay, I did. Okay, but again, the Eagles won it all. Didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
They were the best team.
They did.
Patrick
They were the best team because they had
Mahomes was the best
Saquon.
player.
Okay.
And that's a fact.
Okay, but let's look at the last 3 years, can we? Because very quietly, under the radar, with no real criticism at all, Patrick Mahomes' passing yards have dropped for 3 straight years. His touchdown passes have dropped for 3 straight years, and he's still only 29. So it's not like he's at the end of his career. So he led the
But you gotta remember, he doesn't have a team. It's just Kim and Kelsey. He lost his favorite receiver, Tyreek Hill. He keeps losing receivers. McCall Hardman left. At the time, I think he went to the Raiders, if I'm not mistaken. Then he went after he dipped from the Raiders. He went back to the Chiefs. So yeah, he never has really good receivers.
Then in 23 he drops to 8th, and last
You
year
can't blame him on that.
So he's become just a pretty good quarterback.
He's good because he doesn't have Tyreek.
Truly, truly perfect.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir. Wait, I like that picture.
Yeah, so I think
You guys die for that seat.
credibility here. Tom, your guy, my guy, our guy, Tom Brady.
Our guy.
I think Tom is a really good frame for evaluating Mahomes and being overrated. Yes, Brady has 7 Super Bowls. Mahomes can't be penalized for not living that long yet. So,
True.
7 years as a starter, 3 Super Bowl wins, 2 MVPs.
Dead ass. You cannot say he's overrated.
He has 7,000 more passing yards than Tom Brady, more interceptions, more touchdowns, fewer interceptions. And I think what you always come back to is that Brady always came through in the big moments, and Mahomes shrinks. And
He does not.
I can tell you Mahomes has risen in big moments, and Brady has shrunk. Mahomes and Brady are the only 2 people on history of planet Earth to lead a game-winning touchdown drive in overtime.
And I feel like only quarterback that's even allowed to be compared to Tom Brady is Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes led
or Joe
game-winning
Montana.
drives in
The only current quarterback that can be compared to Tom Brady is Patrick Mahomes.
Bulls do to win the game. Brady did not do that against the Eagles in 2017. He did not do that in 2012 versus the Giants. That all pains me. So I think they're very close. In fact, I would even say they're in lockstep through their first 7 years of
Quick
starting.
point of order, though.
Yes.
Our guy, Tom Brady, in New England, under Belichick, they win 6 Super Bowls with 6 game-winning drives in fourth quarter or overtime from Tom Brady. So you got to give him that because that's extraordinary. That kind of slams the door on the
But you got to remember, they were cheating.
Debate.
I don't think it's fair to say Mahomes hasn't yet won 6 Super Bowls.
Okay.
So we have to count him.
And I do point this out.
Yeah.
In the first Eli Super Bowl, Brady did what he's always done. He drove the Patriots all the way down, hits Randy Moss for the touchdown with 2 minutes left. And all of a sudden, it's 14-10 Patriots. So wait a second. Eli needs not just a field goal. He needs to go score a touchdown. He goes 83 yards in 12 plays against the vaunted Belichick defense, and it took the David Tyree face
Asante
mask catch,
Samuel.
and,
Yep.
and he jumps a little too early and
Yep.
comes down a little too early and can't hang on to an interception.
The key thing
I
you're
give
saying
you
there,
that. Yeah.
14 points in the Super
Okay.
Bowl.
All right.
Tom put up
but
14
again,
points in the Super Bowl.
that defense was hellacious good, and they
Sure.
knew they were good. That front
But
four
why
was.
when the
Well, that's why Tom Brady always has a good defense.
defense is hellacious good, and the Eagles' defense is hellacious
Okay.
good. Mahomes is a bum.
Okay, but didn't Brady do what he should have done to beat that hellacious defense? Isn't it 14-10 Brady at that point? Shouldn't Belichick be able to stop Eli freaking Manning?
Should've.
Right?
Should've.
When you got 83 yards of turf
Yep.
in your favor, you just got to shut him down. Somewhere, somehow, you got to stop him.
It is
because
tough.
he
It is
can't
tough when
kick a
you're-
field goal.
It is tough when the refs don't call the 5 holding penalties on the helmet catch. And when Asante
ridiculous.
Samuel, your shutdown
Okay.
corner, drops the easy
Okay.
interception.
All right. And then the other one for Tom Brady that just slays me, I have nightmares about, I wake up in a cold sweat over it, is that Belichick's defense allowed the backup quarterback of the Eagles, Nick Foles,
Yeah.
to score 40 points
Yep.
because Malcolm Butler mysteriously is benched for the entire game.
That was the
guy
beginning
who
of
played the
Belichick.
most snaps
Yep.
on your defense in the
Yep.
regular season is benched
That was the
for the
beginning
whole
for Belichick.
game. Why?
Yep.
Nobody says why.
Yep.
I still, to this day, I'll go to my grave not knowing why
The beginning of the
Malcolm
end of
Butler was
Belichick.
benched in that game.
Nobody knows why.
And yet,
Yeah.
you said, well, Brady didn't end the game with the game-winning drive.
Yep.
Remember,
Choked.
He threw a Hail Mary, a beautiful Hail Mary to Gronk in the end zone, and they tackle Gronk. Like
well,
seven guys tackle
We're
him.
relying on a Hail Mary
Okay?
here.
Great play.
All right.
Intercept-
Next. Took him a while.
Sit down. How are you?
I'm doing well, Skip. So I really
What the fuck?
fight you here.
Okay.
First off, you're going to say he's way overrated, and you're comparing him about maybe arguably the best quarterback to ever play the game.
Well, not
And that's
arguably. I mean,
well, hold on.
He is the greatest
I mean, we
quarterback.
could talk about that too, but that's not the argument we're going to talk about here because there's a guy named Joe Montana that played this game too. But ultimately, you're comparing him against the second best quarterback to ever possibly play the game. This guy's been to 8 AFC championships in a row. The guy has done, I watched both those Super Bowls. I watched him lose the last one. I was real happy about that. I also watched him come back out in the second half and tear the Eagles defense apart. Now, you could argue that our defensive coordinator was ready to stay in Arizona and not finish out the game.
Could.
But he's still, I don't care how many drugs you had to put in him, what he had to do to repair that ankle, he was the one single-handedly that kind of won that game. Yeah, I could say that he was the one that called the defensive holding because he was the one that was crying about and he got the call. But really, the play before that was when he ran for 35 yards to be able to get down the field. That play was really what cemented that game. And I knew at that point that we weren't going to be able to win.
The play that made him the GOAT was when he was about to fall, and bro just threw it. I was like, yep, he's
He
GOAT.
was going to be able to actually just finish out the clock.
Can you explain what happened to Jalen just losing the handle on the football when you're driving to go up 21-7?
He still won.
And you're already at mid.
Overrated. That tells me that he's a great quarterback. And the fact that you're going to just call him overrated just because Brady played it a lot longer time ago, I would love to have seen. Yeah, like I said, that one Super Bowl that he played, that Brady played against him, he was still recovering from the head. And like I said, and he was throwing balls. He was throwing balls. He was throwing balls. He was the
Sorry,
one.
man. Next. I lost interest.
What's up, Skip? It's a pleasure, man.
You're up.
Okay. You're talking about everybody else. You're saying all these different things. We got to talk about what overrated is, what that means. You can break it down. Let's talk a little bit literally. You want to talk about his actual rating? Last year, PFF has got him at 8. Players got him at number 4. So you're going to sit here and you're going to tell me that that is not an accurate place for that man to be? If he should be lower, should be higher.
I know, but most people think he's already better than Brady. A lot of people believe that.
Okay, but Brady is not even in this conversation. This conversation is not Brady versus Mahomes. The conversation is Mahomes overrated? If you want to talk about value, you want to talk about overrated in value, monetary value. Patrick Mahomes, the $500 million man, has been to the Super Bowl 5 times
already,
and won a bunch of money. That's good return on investment. What was Allen's contract extension that he just got?
Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Significant.
most.
Yeah. When's the last time he went to the Super Bowl?
Okay. Well, they're betting on the come on that one.
They are,
But he's shown you a lot, and he was the MVP.
For sure.
And I thought he deserved it.
I agree, 100%. I agree that
Okay.
he deserved it. But he's got insane stats. Passing was similar to Mahomes, but nobody can stop Allen's rushing. That 100%.
But Allen's never been to the Super Bowl.
But then you go stats. You want to look at stats. You want to look at his MVP years. What other player in the NFL that is playing right now has had over an entire regular season of postseason games? That is an MVP season.
Mahomes.
Take out last season's postseason.
Okay,
That's
you're going this past season or 2 years ago?
This past
Okay,
postseason
all right.
where we lost.
Okay. Oh, you're a we.
I'm a we.
You just
Oh, you're a we. You're a Chiefs fan.
heard yourself.
I'm a we. I will
okay.
always be
You're
a we.
Chiefs fan.
I'm
Okay.
yes, sir. 100%.
Okay, good.
Born and raised
All right.
KC.
Okay.
So he has like 5,200 yards. Some like
He said, "Oh, you're a we."
40 touchdowns and 10 INTs.
Okay.
He's good though. Patrick Mahomes is not overrated. That take is not. All right, let's see the next.
Belichick.
Shit, man.
My next claim is Bill Belichick is overrated. The
The Patriots dynasty was 80% Tom. Oh yeah.
Patriots dynasty was 80% Tom Brady.
Yup. Yeah, I agree with that. That was fast.
So first, if we're going to call Bill Belichick overrated, we need to look at his entire career as a defensive coordinator before he was even in New England. So if we're going to look at that, he was with the
He was
Giants
the Houston Oilers.
for 10 years.
Great.
They had for the Browns 10 defense every year except for
Really
once.
good. Yep.
Granted, he had Lawrence Taylor. I'll give you that. So then he leaves for the Browns after there's 2 Super Bowls that he had where they had top 2 defenses. The Giants went from the best defense in 2 years down to the worst. And the Browns went from dead last
To the first.
all the way to the top 10 within 2
Okay.
years with Bill Belichick. As my friend here said, Tom Brady's never won a Super Bowl without a top 10 defense. Bill Belichick is not 20%. You can make the argument for 50-50. Brady did some great things. In his 2 best Super Bowl performances, he wasn't able to carry them to the win.
Okay. I give you, Bill Belichick was a really good defensive coordinator
sir.
under Bill Parcells.
Yeah.
He wasn't the leader. He wasn't the CEO.
I agree.
He didn't set the tone in the locker room,
Okay.
but he was really good, and then he became a head coach.
Yes, sir.
And if I look at Bill Belichick's head coaching record
Yes, sir.
without Tom Brady,
Yes, sir.
without Tom Brady, he's 64 and 85.
I want to
And
see
when
his
he got
next
to
hot
New England,
take.
before Tom Brady fell out of the heavens into his lap,
Yes, sir.
he went 35 and 47 in New England with
Now as a head coach and always, Bill Belichick makes adjustments better than any coach.
Belichick has been that guy.
I need to go back to the LeBron as the GOAT.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Okay, for sure. So I wanted to say that the only thing that Michael Jordan has better than LeBron James is better shoes and a better Space Jam movie.
There you go.
Other than that,
It definitely had a better Space Jam movie.
we can agree on that. We can agree on that
it
for
was
sure. but
money.
I want to go back to the beginning of the career, right? LeBron was known as the chosen one. He was drafted at 18, fresh out of prime, expected to save a franchise. What did he walk into? That team was 17 and 65, worst record in the NBA. They missed playoffs for 5 straight years. The best players on that team were Ricky Davis and Big Z. I like to call them the LA Fitness 5 because you could take me and one of my friends at LA Fitness,
All
and we could still
I'd
be the
give you
worst team
that.
in the league.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then that team was ranked 29th out of 29th for NBA attendance, which means that neither the fans or the players were showing up.
Okay.
If there was a fish fry going on across the street, Skip, people would go to that fish fry. That's how bad it was. Mind you, only by adding LeBron James, they increased their wins by 18 games that season just by adding one man.
Oh, he's a great player.
Yeah,
He's a force.
Fantastic. But
6'9",
what was Jordan?
260.
Exactly.
Maybe as a rookie, 235. But yeah.
Exactly. But what was Jordan doing at 18 and 19 years old? Well, he was
still developing himself.
Winning an NCAA championship for the Carolina Blue.
Yeah, but
right?
he was. I heard you say the chosen one goes to the frozen one, but Michael Jordan didn't even have the opportunity to be the chosen one because he wasn't even chosen first in this draft. He was chosen third.
Which
behind,
was all-time stupid, right? Was it not?
But
Sam
I'm saying,
Bowie?
Yeah.
Sam Huey?
Behind Hakeem Olajuwon and Sam
I'll
Bowie.
give you Hakeem, but I'm taking Jordan over Hakeem.
Exactly, and many people would, have in hindsight.
I'm
but I'm just
taking
saying
Michael
that this is
over
how people view
everybody.
it. Like nobody, he wasn't even the first option on his team. That was James Worthy. So the way how I look at it is like if
You
go
mean when he was a freshman?
Yeah.
Except when you get to
but
the
championship.
moment, Dean Smith, the great Dean Smith, calls the last play of the game against
For sure.
Georgetown, for the kid Mike Jordan, the freshman. And
But
he nails it.
But I'm making a comparison, Skip, at that same age, LeBron is expected to take a team out of the poverty franchise and make them into a contender. They were saying it was Hall of Fame or bust. Not I hope he's good, not I hope he's great, but Hall of Fame or bust only option. Michael Jordan, on the other hand, we were grasping at straws. They were just like, well, I hope he's good. I mean, there's two people who we think is better than him in the
How can you
draft.
say LeBron is the GOAT when he's a career 35% three-point shooter and he's a career 73% free throw shooter?
Right. At least he's not
Trust
60.
me, by superstar standards,
You can say the same
that's
thing about
pathetic
Shaq.
in both cases. He's
Look,
a
I'm out. Go like, comment, subscribe. Got 100K. 31 mil.
Bye. Have a great time.